Eternal Word Television Studios in Birmingham, Alabama.
You will be hard-pressed to examine the history of broadcast television and religion here in America and find the name Rita Antoinette Rizzo, an only child born into a family where her father disappeared in her youth, forcing the family into a life of poverty, living as if they were refugees. But there was a higher calling for Rita, who at the age of 21 entered the convent, handed her life over to God, and millions of people around the world owe their faith and words of kindness to Mother Mary Angelica of the Annunciation, who passed away Easter Sunday and leaves behind a legacy to rival that of Billy Graham and those who get more media attention. In the end, none more important than her. Welcome back the National Director at Priests for Life, who, were it not for Mother Mary Angelica, might not be sitting here, Father Frank Pavone, joined by a veteran of the broadcast news industry, now Vice President of Business and Culture for the Media Research Center, Dan Gainor. Gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us. Father Frank, let me begin with you. Is it not fair to say that this lady changed not just television, but religion in this country because she was friendly? People welcomed her into their homes. It was brilliant, and she started out with nothing.
Well, it's amazing, and that is true, and it's amazing. She was a cloistered nun. The idea within the Catholic community for sisters like this is that they are not heard from or seen in the world. And yet she turned that upside down, getting the permission to broadcast in this way and taking the risks necessary, which enabled her to build up a multimedia network, television, radio, internet, social media, that spans the globe and has never been seen before in the history of the Catholic Church.
Dan, she wasn't flashy. The show didn't have a lot of graphics in it, didn't have a lot of special effects. She sat there. She answered letters from parishioners, people in general who just needed help. What was it about her that caught on, that made people want to watch?
Well, I think it was that she was genuine. She was who she was, both in the real world and on TV. And so much of what we see on TV is phony. I think that genuineness helped launch and really set the tone, not just for religion coverage or religious media in this country, but non-traditional conservative media. I think everybody, since then in media owes a lot to what she did to show that you can launch a TV network and as Father Frank said, a media empire and not be beholden to traditional media.
Father Frank, is it fair to say, and I mentioned at the top of the segment here about others, everybody thinks of Billy Graham when they think of the first televangelist who came out there because his impact was monstrous. Is it not fair to say, though, that we sort of miss what Mother Mary Angelica brought to the fore because she was just as powerful in spreading the faith and spreading a positive word?
Well, she really was, and I'll tell you what I found out about her power. I came to know her in 1994 and have been broadcasting on her network ever since. And as I travel around in my work with the pro-life effort, I'm meeting people all over the country, all over the world, who are saying this: Mother Angelica provided for us, and her network continues to provide what we are not getting in our local parish, what we are not hearing in our local diocese. So there are a lot of gaps, not just from the fact that, well, some people don't even go to church and then maybe they'll hear her at home. It's more than that. It's people who do go to church, but they're not hearing a clear, compassionate, consistent message that they know corresponds to the Orthodox Catholic teaching. This is the gap she continues to fill.
Is it not fair to say, too, Dan, that what we're missing here is that men were very successful as televangelists, and this was a woman who did it on her own, and quite frankly, we don't, still to this day, have a lot of women who pass this kind of message of faith and actually have this sort of following.
Yeah, the fact that she did this decades ago and is so groundbreaking, and yet because she didn't seek the limelight per se, the major media never noticed her. EWTN continues to reach hundreds of millions of Catholics around the world. But because, again, it's a conservative message of Catholicism and traditional values, that's something the media, they don't want to talk about because they don't want to give it. Nowadays, we've got a popular TV show, The Real O'Neills, that uses Catholics as a punchline every single week.
I got about 20 seconds here for you, Dan, but is it not fair to say that I don't know if she'd work today? I really don't, because it's just much too simple and much too friendly.
Well, I think that kind of sincerity always plays well with people, no matter what media that you're working with.
Do you think, Father Frank, I got about 20 seconds to you, that the thing that is really interesting that we're not getting to is she didn't seek the limelight. She was just happy with what she did.
She sought above all the Lord, and she connected with the Lord in the people that she served, and vice versa. That for her was number one, and continues to be now in her legacy.
A legacy that should live on forever. Hopefully it will, because there's a lot of guys out there, but boy, I'll tell you, Mother Mary Angelica, she was to the point. She got in trouble sometimes, but she made for entertaining television. Dan Gainor, Father Frank Pavone, gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us today. We're about to do the math on the candidates' tax proposals, and there's one candidate I will wager you will not vote for when you see the facts of his tax plan. There's a hint next on the Hardline.